your first 26 mile markers to wealth. So if you have never made a financial plan before, you're not sure where to start, this is the video for you. We're going to be breaking down the first 26 things that you are going to begin working on to build your financial plan. And similar to running a marathon, you're going to probably run more than one marathon. So this is just the way to run your first race. I remember when I trained for my first marathon, the goal was to finish. It wasn't to be the fastest or to get a great time. I just simply needed a basic, simple training plan so that way I could finish the race. So this is for beginners. This is for very entry level finance. So let's dive into it. The first step when building a financial plan for your personal finances is we've got to begin with the end in mind. We've got to think about what we're trying to accomplish. You're first going to sit down and you're going to ask yourself these questions. First, what do I want to accomplish in the short term? And when I say short term, this can be in the next 6 months, this can be in the next 12 months, but I typically like to say in the next 1 to 2 years, what am I laser focused on personally, professionally, and financially? From there, we're going to focus on midterm goals. What am I laser focused on, or what do I want to accomplish in the next 2 to 10 years? That is your midterm goals, personally, professionally, financially. Just write it down, bullet points. It doesn't need to be super vivid. It doesn't need to be your vision board. These are just high level things. For example, short term. Okay, in the next 0 to 2 years, we want to pay off all high interest debt. 0 to 2 years, I want to scale my income and get a promotion at work. Okay, these are things that we're just listing, going through. And then midterm, 2 to 10 years. Okay, in 2 to 10 years, we want to be maxing out our IRA accounts. We want to be on track for retirement according to our age, begin saving for a rental property. Then long term, this is more 10 plus years down the road. Ask yourself the same question. What do I want to accomplish personally, professionally, financially? And then retirement. I don't really like saying the word retirement, especially now, because some people want to retire when they're 50 and some people want to work until they really can't anymore because they like to. They like to stay busy. Maybe that's 70, 75 years old. But what does that look like for you? What do you want to be doing with your life? Don't make this super complicated. Keep it high level because this is really just our first race. These 26 mile markers are just to help us get started. But by answering these questions, it's going to allow us to know what we need to achieve during each mile marker, during each step of your financial plan. Miles 1 through 5. This is your survive and stabilize. First 5 things, we're really just trying to get into survival mode, get our head above water. So step number 1, start in a starter emergency fund. So this isn't going to be your final emergency fund, but I like to tell people get to $1,000 in an emergency fund. That way you're not living paycheck to paycheck. For example, there's a lot of people that get paid on the 15th, but they have bills come out on the 14th. And they're just praying that they have enough money to make it to the 15th. But if you have that $1,000 emergency fund, it gives you a little bit of a buffer. It's not enough to cover all of your expenses, but it gives you enough to get out of that survival mode from paycheck to paycheck, literally. List and organize all of your debts and expenses. We can't fix something when we don't even know what the problems are. You're going to get a pen and paper or an Excel sheet, a Google Sheet document, whatever it is, and you're going to make a list of all of your debts. There's a few reasons why I want you to do it manually. There's tons of softwares and programs that you can just plug everything in and it'll do it. But when you have to go through and write it down, it is so much more painful when you have to put credit card number 1, credit card number 2, credit card number 3. It sucks. And this is the point. We want this to be painful a little bit. We want you to realize the poor financial shape that you're in. List all of those debts, and then you're going to list all of your expenses in a spreadsheet. Just start listing them out. Go through all your bank statements, credit card transactions. Find those fixed expenses. things that come out every single month no matter what. And then we can start worrying about the little things. But first, let's just figure out what is our ground zero. What do we need every single month to just survive, pay the bills? Car payments, rent, mortgage, insurance, subscriptions. What are those things that just come out every single month? List them, write them down, and tally it all up. And it's gonna be a little bit painful, or maybe you're not in as bad shape as you think you are. Number 3, once we've created that list, we're now going to start tracking our monthly spending for 30 days. So every time you spend something, you're gonna put it in that spreadsheet. You're gonna write it down in your notes app. Even if it's simple as coffee, $8. Walmart had to pick something up, $6. Write it all down. I think that is the biggest thing that I've seen is whenever I have cash, I spend it way slower because it's just more painful to give away the money. But with a credit card, we almost just check out. It's not real money to us in our mind sometimes. So this is just gonna create another way for you to process and think, oh, I just spent money. I just spent money. It's just like tracking your calories or your macros. You look at an Oreo and you're like, oh dang, I really want that. But then you're like, oh, then I've got to open up my app, I've got to track it, and I've got to hold myself accountable to it. Same thing with tracking your expenses. You're gonna see that at the store, you're gonna see that on Amazon, you're gonna think, dang, I really want that. And then you're gonna remember, oh, well then I've got to go in and log it, and it's not worth it. Number 4, once we have a good foundation on what our fixed expenses are, and then how much we're just spending on stuff every single month, we're gonna create a budget that actually works. And I hate the word budget, but think of this more as we are going to build a cash flow plan. And when I say cash flow plan, we are just going to figure out how can we maximize our cash flow. So hopefully by this time we figured out what expenses we don't need anymore, things we can cut out, and we just wanna maximize the cash flow. We want as much cash coming in as possible here at the beginning because this is going to supercharge the rest of the plan. And when I say create a budget that actually works, we are going to simply pay ourselves first. So for most people, we're just trying to get out of debt. We're just trying to get our head above water. And so what we're going to do is whenever we get paid, we are going to create a plan to where if we get paid on the 15th, we have it set up on the 16th, we make our automatic debt payments, or we make our automatic contributions to our investment accounts or to our emergency fund. It's automatic first. And then we spend what's left over. Create a budget that actually works. And when I say create a budget that actually works, it means something that we can actually follow and is doable. So many of us, just like fitness, we create a crazy training plan and it's just not sustainable. So what we're gonna do is we're simply going to pick something that on a scale of 1 to 10, I don't want you at a 10 of this is so painful, I cannot do this unless I just go psycho. But I also don't want you at a 1 where you don't even realize that you're making an extra $50 a month payment to your credit card or to whatever it is that you're paying off. Crafting that budget, it's going to be important for you to build it based on what your goals are. Pay yourself first every single paycheck. The last step in getting stabilized is we've got to build that emergency fund to a more appropriate amount. So 3 to 6 months of emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses. If you have kids, if you have a business, if your income fluctuates, you probably need a larger emergency fund. It's just going to depend on how stable your income is and how large your family is and how big of the emergencies are that you have. Okay, number 6, we are now moving into debt and defense. This is just where we're trying to eliminate as much drag and get rid of as many roadblocks or landmines that could possibly get in our way. The last thing you want is to get a pebble in your shoe while you're running. Pay off high interest debt. We already kind of talked about this, but anything over a 7% interest rate should probably be considered high interest. The reason for this is because you can pretty comfortably invest money in the stock market, and if you hold it for a long time horizon, you're going to achieve a 7% rate of return in an aggressive portfolio. We just want to base it off of where is my money going to work harder? At 7%, anything lower than 7%, we can get more than that in the stock market. But if it's higher than 7%, we're not gonna beat that. We're not gonna out-invest it. Number 7, we've gotta get term life insurance. We've gotta protect ourselves. If you have a family, it's pretty straightforward. I promise this is way more important than you think. And it's really not when you need it. And some misconceptions about life insurance. You can get it through work, but the problem with getting it through work is they're only going to offer you a set amount of coverage. Maybe it's one time your salary, and then you're also going to be limited on how much you can buy your spouse. And then the other problem with buying or having a large policy through work is when you leave work, your life insurance is canceled. It's gone. You don't get to keep it forever. So this is why I recommend you get a personal life insurance policy. That way, it goes with you for your whole career and you can get the amount of coverage that you need. This needs to be built into your budget. This is a non-negotiable. This is like simply running with water. You've got to hydrate, because if you don't, this will kill you. This will kill your financial plan. Maybe you're not here to witness it, but it will kill your family's financial plan. So if that's important to you, you need to get this locked in. 10 to 20 times your income. Just think of it like this. I need to replace my income. Most work policies, okay, they give me $100,000. Dude, that's 1 year of income. Your family's gonna use that in 6 to 9 months. You've got to have enough coverage to where they're not gonna have to worry about money for maybe it's 10 years, 20 years, whatever you wanna provide for them. This is your financial plan. For me, I just want my wife to never have to worry about work again, and I want her to know that, hey, I've got a check coming in of X amount of dollars for the rest of my life. It's not gonna make her a billionaire, but it's gonna make it to where she doesn't have to worry financially. So that's my financial plan, but get term life insurance. Next one, number 8, get long-term disability insurance. 1 in 4 people are going to go on claim, which means that something happens physically or emotionally to where they're not able to work for a period of more than 3 months. It happens a lot more often than you think. That way, whether it's cancer, whether it's an injury, you're not posting a GoFundMe of, hey, please help us cover expenses while I'm no longer able to work. Long-term disability insurance through work is gonna cover 60% of your salary, but then it gets taxed most of the time. Look into a personal long-term disability policy. That way, if anything ever happens, you don't have to worry about finances. You can worry about getting better. Number 9, understand and use your employer benefits. We've got to look at what we're getting for free. And your life insurance, disability insurance, 401k, your health insurance. What are they giving you for free? So many times, and I'm witnessing this right now, something really bad happens and they go, I really hope I checked the box when I did my group benefits that I had life insurance, or that I did this, that I did that. Because not simply checking a box because you weren't paying attention is just silly. It's like passing an aid station, not grabbing the nutrients or the food that you need to get through the next 4 miles just because you weren't paying attention. Don't fall asleep at the wheel. Pay attention, know your group benefits. You don't need to be an expert, but schedule some time with HR and just make sure that you're maximizing the plan that they give you. Number 10, we are going to highly focus on creating a plan to pay off remaining debts. Student loans, car loans, anything that's maybe not super high interest like credit cards, but are still in that 7 to 10 to 12 to 15% interest rates, especially as interest rates have gone up. I see a lot of people carrying these 7 to 10% interest rate loans. Use the snowball method, avalanche method, whatever works for you. There's the emotional side of money, and then there's the mathematical side of money. I find myself in the middle, and I see some people that are very mathematical, and there's some people that are very emotional. If you're more emotional about money and you just want to get rid of as much debt as possible, then you're going to change your strategy. Because for me, I kind of like not having to pay 7 payments at once. It'd be nice to just get rid of payments, and then that way it feels like I'm making progress. It's time to move into building wealth intentionally. Number 11, get the full employer 401k match. This is free money that you're leaving on the table. It's 100% return. So a lot of times if you put in 3%, your employer puts in 3%. So that's like you put in $100, they will give you $100. There is no other place where you are able to double your money instantly. Side note, most employers will offer a Roth option. Traditional 401k, Roth 401k. A traditional 401k will give you a tax deduction today, but when you take the money out in 40, 50, 60 years, it gets taxed, all of it. However, a Roth 401k, when you put money into the Roth side, you don't get a tax deduction today, but when you take the money out down the road, it's 100% tax free. And the Roth 401k is a very strong option and can supercharge people's financial pictures to building tax-free wealth. So understand you have a Roth option, and for most people, if they are in a lower tax bracket, they will go Roth. If they're in a higher tax bracket, they'll go traditional. For the majority of people that are just getting started, their incomes are just in the entry level, so they're usually opting for the Roth option. But consult with a tax professional and figure out what makes the most sense for you. And we'll do another video breaking down how to go through that thought process. Number 12, open and fund a IRA. This is primarily for people that maybe don't have a 401k or their 401k doesn't offer a Roth option. And I hear a lot of people are saying, well, I'm not eligible to do a Roth. I make too much money. There are ways to do backdoor Roth IRAs, but do that with caution, as if you don't do it correctly, there are going to be tax consequences. So just like anything, just understand the rules, understand the tax game, and you'll be okay. But open that, get that started, pick a fixed amount that you can put into it every single month. Why? This is just tax-free growth and long-term flexibility. A lot of people think their money's locked up for forever in a Roth IRA. Guess what? In a Roth IRA, you can touch your basis before 59.5 once it's been in there for 5 years. So it really is a powerful savings vehicle or wealth builder. 13, we're going to set up and automate our monthly investing. Pay yourself first, minimum 10%, and we'd love to get to 20%. If we can invest 20% of our income every single month, then we can do whatever we want with the rest of the money and feel no guilt. And the reason why we're automating it is for a few reasons. One, so we don't forget to do it. Two, it just feels like an expense because life happens, things come up, and guess what? The second that you feel like you're in a pinch, you're not going to invest as much money, and that is going to make all of the difference. The other reason, consistency in the market is going to beat timing the market every single time. Dollar cost average. Some months the market's going to be up, some months the market's going to be down. But we're just consistently dropping money in at the same exact time every single month. And over the long term, it's going to do better than you sitting with a bucket of cash hoping to throw it in all at the same time. 14, we're going to start setting up accounts to save for those midterm goals or long-term goals. Maybe this is for vacations. People call it a sinking fund, but I just call it like a fun bucket. This is for vacations, buying a new car, and it's just going to prevent you from going into more debt when you have large expenses come up or large things that you need to do. Buy a new car or maybe go on a fun vacation. This is just your fun emergency fund, essentially. 15, start saving for your kids, whether that's for education or just for things that are going to come up in their life. Kids are expensive, so setting up midterm buckets for your kids where you're socking away money for them, and then you can pass that down to them and help them build the habit. There's a lot of different kids accounts, or you can just set up accounts under your name, but that is a video for another day. 16, open a brokerage account for the overflow. So I'm a big believer in not putting all of our money in retirement accounts. Like we talked about with the goals, midterm, long-term, this is what the brokerage account or the non-qualified account is great for. This is where we're going to begin putting money. Depending on whether it's for the midterm or the long term, we're gonna open up a midterm investment account. 17, we are going to dial in our retirement goals and our target date. Pretty much saying, hey, at age 65, I wanna be able to retire on $8,000 a month after tax, worst case scenario. Okay, great. Let's backwards plan and figure out what we need to be putting into investment accounts, into retirement accounts to make sure that that happens and make sure that you never run out of money. And the great thing with making sure your retirement is just dialed in is it's going to allow you to spend guilt-free. You can either choose to, hey, I'm going to be more aggressive with other investments, or I'm just going to simply spend the money that I have today. Because there's two camps. People that don't save anything and then people that are too frugal and they save everything. Enjoy your life And so if you're just able to set your retirement goal and this target date, you can enjoy life right now and spend your money right now and not feel like you're sacrificing your future. Next step, simplify and streamline this process. Let's eliminate your financial clutter. Let's clean out the financial junk drawer. We're going to consolidate and optimize all the old accounts. So we're getting organized. If you got all these old 401ks, if you've got a lot of bank accounts, if you've got a ton of subscriptions, we are trying to simplify and eliminate and consolidate as much as possible. 19, we're going to begin reviewing and adjusting our investments yearly or rebalancing. And so if you don't know how to do this, don't do it on your own. But we just simply need to review how our investments have performed, at least on a yearly basis, and review our budget, review our expenses. We just need to check our watch and check our mile time and evaluate where we're at, make sure we're on pace. Things happen, and maybe the market did really well, maybe the market did really poorly. Adjust. Number 20, you need to learn your tax bracket and make it work for you. This is where the Roth versus traditional conversation comes into play. Tax efficient investing. For somebody in a high income tax bracket, it maybe doesn't make as much sense to put money into those midterm buckets if we don't need to, because we need tax shelters. We need stuff that can grow without being taxed on the dividends. Understand your taxes, because taxes are going to be the biggest eroder of wealth. Think of taxes as the biggest ankle weight. If you don't pay attention to it, you're going to be running a race with ankle weights. And trust me, someone running with ankle weights for somebody not running with ankle weights, it's going to make a big difference. 21, you need to start your estate plan. So you need to set up a will and a trust. And there's different types of trusts. There's different types of power of attorneys, guardianships, things that are important to discuss. And so one, there's a lot of do-it-yourself websites out there that you can simply get on, and they will help walk you through it, and you'll do it by yourself. Also, you can just talk to an attorney, start doing some research on this. Once you have kids, once you have assets, you need to set up a revocable trust. And this is really just going to allow you to write the instructions on if something happens to you or something happens to your spouse or something happens to both of you at the same time. There's an instruction, there's a legal framework to make sure that the money goes where you want it to go. You can't just simply hope that your financial wishes come into play, because if you have a life insurance policy and somebody's getting paid out $1 million, trust me, people are going to be chomping at the bit saying, oh, well, I deserve that, I should get that. They told me this, they told me that. And having a trust, having a will is how you are going to talk from the grave and avoid stuff from going through probate and other legal jargon stuff. We're on the home stretch of the beginner financial plan. 22, we got to make sure that we are building long-term tax advantage wealth, so we're maximizing our retirement accounts. We already know what we need to be on track for, but this is where we are really dialing in and making sure that we are getting a strong Monte Carlo score. So when I say Monte Carlo, that's where we run hundreds of different scenarios of good stock market, bad stock market, low interest rates, high interest rates, low tax brackets, high tax brackets, and we just see if your plan works through all those different variables. And so we are just making sure that we're bulletproof. 23, if you don't feel comfortable just spending all of the extra money now that you've created through the budgeting and as your income has grown, continue to put money into the brokerage account. 24, set up a giving or legacy strategy. So this has a lot to do with setting up your trusts, your wills, maybe a donor advised fund, tithes, giving. This is just where we're giving back and trying to be generous with our financial prosperity. 25, most overlooked, optimize your retirement withdrawal strategy. So we got to make sure that we are taking money out of the right buckets at the right time to reduce our tax bracket, make sure that we're not selling our investments at a loss, we're tax loss harvesting, make sure that we're taking Social Security at the right time, make sure that we're planning for long-term care events, make sure that we have a base income set up for retirement, and we're planning for retirement to not go as planned. So pretty simple here, but super overlooked. People just think of getting to retirement, but really getting to retirement is when the race finally gets started. You got to think about it. You're going to work from 20 to 60. That's 40 years. Then you're probably going to live from 60 to 90, maybe 60 to 100. That's another 40 years. So really, getting to retirement is just the halfway point in your race. And then 26, make sure you're reviewing your plan quarterly, update it yearly, and just stay the course. The first couple years, you're not going to feel like you're making a difference, but just continue to do this. Continue to level up on your education and continue to scale your income, things that we talked about in other videos, but that's just going to allow you to stay the course. And lastly, that 0.2 miles, I always like to say, run your own race. Everyone has different goals. That's why it's important to start with, what do you want in life? What do you want short-term, mid-term, long-term? Because that's going to determine how aggressive you are saving for retirement. That's going to affect your lifestyle today. But run your own race. Do what makes you happy. Don't compare yourself to other people, because for you, this might be your first marathon. And for them, this might be their 5th or 6th. Of course, they're going to be more experienced. They're going to be running faster. Or a lot of people, maybe they were given a different hand and you had to start at mile 2, but they're starting at mile 13. So they just have a head start, and that is okay. So run your own race. Don't compare yourself to others. And that is your first marathon wealth training plan for beginners. And as your income grows, as you progress through your wealth building journey, some of these things will become second nature, and that's why you're going to find yourself looking for that next hurdle. How do I take that next step financially? And so stay tuned. We will be coming out with the next video of a marathon wealth training plan for high income earners. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching.